First and foremost element, obviously, is an opportunity to put water in the river on a regular basis. And we've obviously, as a result of our rains in June and July, have had water in the river all summer, and are likely to have it for some greater period of time. As I looked out of my office window, which overlooked the river for the last 10 years I worked, more often than not, I saw a ribbon of sand. And part of the reason you see that is that the river today is dictated by what happens at Keystone Dam. And the Southwest Power Administration runs that dam. And that's whether it's a river like the Mississippi that Memphis has flowing by its core part of the city in a natural way, or Oklahoma City, which created theirs. It becomes a driver of a great deal of economic activity, and that in turn elevates the number of jobs in the community and helps build prosperity for everyone. It also improves the quality of life. Having a flowing river becomes a magnet for people to get along the river, for activities to develop along the river, and that also is one of the benefits that we see coming from this series of investments. There's also another element that's unusual, and it's a first for the Tulsa community, and as far as we can tell, it is one of the, it may be a first for the state of Oklahoma, and that is there have been a series of private donors, and they're listed here, the majority of them, that have committed $111 million in gifts to create additional public facilities that will be along the river if the public votes in October to approve the public portion of the investment, which is $282 million. That is a marvelous bit of leverage. I refer to it as a real blue light special. It's something that we get as a gift if, as voters, we elect to do the part of the projects that are the public part. And this is really a people's plan. This is not a plan that was created in a conference room in a building with just a few people around the table. This is a plan that covers the entire 42-mile Arkansas River corridor, Keystone Dam to the county line as you leave Broken Arrow. There were more than 60 public meetings held in order to arrive at this plan, and there had been a number of refinements from the original plan. Those first three slides that I showed, the water in the river, the economic impact, and the quality of life, were the top three elements that came out of the public hearings that people wanted to see with this project and with the taking advantage of this natural resource. I actually, in the early stages, got involved in this from an engineering point of view. My educational background, much of my business career, that was what I did, and the Kaiser Foundation had asked me to look at some of the different ideas that were being proposed and being considered. And as a result of that, and as a result of a lot of time being spent with the people that had developed this INCOG plan, the Indian Nation Council of Governments plan, it became abundantly clear that this plan was well thought out. It was a plan that would put water in the river sooner than any other option that had been talked about or considered. It would do it at a lower cost than any other option that had been talked about or considered. And it will do it in a manner that created the greatest benefit for most people. Because the initial projects that are covered by what's proposed on the ballot on October 9th will provide the development and development platform for 36 miles of the 42-mile corridor. The engineering studies have been reviewed in great detail, and I have a high degree of confidence that the money being proposed is adequate to build the facilities being proposed. And they have been reviewed from day one, and the cost for them has been shared from day one with the Corps of Engineers, which is one of the key permitting agencies as we move from the approval phase to ultimately permitting and then constructing the facilities in the river. What's the cost? The cost to do this, and the cost or the manner in doing it, is what has emerged as, I think, the issue that needs to be talked about by everyone. As I said, in all of the meetings that I've attended, all of the discussions that I've heard, I have not heard anyone stand up and say this is the wrong plan or this develops the river in the wrong way. Everyone seems to agree that the plan that INCOG put together, a plan that was developed over a 4-year period, a plan that was voted on and approved by the county commission and the city commissions in virtually every community in the county, is the right plan. The issue is, how do we pay for it? The supporters of the project believe that the 0.4% over a 7-year period is the most economic way to do that. And there is a basis for the 0.4%. The 0.4% is the amount of money that was approved originally in 2025 that was never collected, because it was the amount of money for economic development to attract bowling that didn't happen. And so it's a level of expenditure that the voters, at least at one point, decided they were willing to pay in order to have the economic benefits of that particular use. And I happen to believe that this use is going to produce much greater outcomes and will certainly benefit a much wider percentage of our population. The county commissioners have done two things. They have a rebate for seniors, similar to the rebate that is in the 2025 tax, and they, for the first time, have put in a rebate for low-income families. They've also put one other element in, and that's a sunset provision, that at any point in time that the projects that this outlines are fully funded, the tax will stop. And it will go no longer than the 7 years, but there is a potential it could go less. The public investment is designed to help create a variety of things, but most importantly, you first have to take control of the river. And I've described the dam at Sand Springs that enables you to do that. And then that water flows into Zinc Lake. Zinc Lake will be improved. That water then flows into a new lake at Jenks, and so you have a series of 3 lakes connected by river. The river from Zinc Lake to Jenks will actually have a man-made enhancement to the channel that exists there, so that you can have continuously flowing water between the two, and you can actually move back and forth by watercraft in that. It also provides for additional pedestrian bridges to cross the river, so that upon completion you will have the ability to cross the river at virtually every mile from 11th Street to 71st Street. And then it has a land acquisition fund that's designed to be used initially for the purpose of accumulating land, packaging it, and then using an RFP to bring developers in so that you can assure that the development that takes place optimizes the value of that land for the community and is the sort of development that you would like to see. That money then is anticipated to be repaid by that developer, and the recommendations we've made from the private sector is that then that becomes a good source of ongoing funds to ensure that all of the public facilities have adequate maintenance funds available to them over their entire life. And these are very long-lived facilities. The charitable investment is an investment that will be the largest single charitable gift in our community's history, and we think one of the largest in the country. And it will create a world-class park system up and down the river, and it will make this accessible to people at obviously no cost, and it will make it a very attractive place to come and gather. The interesting thing about this pledge is because of the different permitting time involved with completing the permitting process for the in-the-river projects as opposed to the on-the-river projects, which are the private projects, this money and this economic impact will begin being felt immediately after a yes vote. In fact, the sponsor of the project, and I'll show you some artist mock-ups of what some of these projects might look like, but the sponsor of the project at 41st Street would plan, he said today, to start their project work within 2 weeks of October 9th. And these projects would begin creating jobs and creating benefits that all of us can use and enjoy as soon as the vote takes place. If you were to look west from Zinc, and that's looking toward the west bank of the river, this would be one of the areas that is potentially captured by the Land Acquisition Fund, and there are several parcels of land that make this up, and there would need to be work done to prepare it for development. That is probably the largest single piece of development property in Tulsa, but the other communities up and down the river have development going on as well, and it's something that will benefit all of the communities that front the river from this type of development's perspective. But it's a sense of what can happen with pedestrian bridges going across. You can see that the lake will have been extended by raising the dam a couple of feet. You can have water taxis, a variety of things that allow the two sides of the river to work together. But it can end up being a very attractive area in what is today not a particularly attractive area. If you look at the east bank, go to the opposite bank and look back toward Tulsa, one of the things that has been looked at is building a new wave park on that east bank, and that's for water sports like kayaking, canoeing, rafting. That would be less rigorous wave than we have on the west bank today. They're actually on the west bank is one of the best rodeo-style kayaking waves in the country, and they're kayakers with their helmets and going in extreme kayaking down there today, and that would in all likelihood stay. But this would be a little more family-friendly ability to use the east bank and have a water feature there. 41st Street, the work that's been done is intriguing, and what they anticipate adding are a series of interactive water features geared largely to families and to children, but it's something that will enhance the area in a way that people will want to come there, will want to come out and take advantage of the facility. And again, this is a project that would be built first. And then to give you a sense of what else might be done is at 71st Street, where you already have on the north side of the highway the bears and the large statue that had been put in by BOK and Nature Works. You could come to the south, have some onshore water features. You could come out with a large pier that has commercial development on it, even a water feature out in the river. But again, it's a sense of the sorts of things that this kind of development can offer you in the way of commercial development. So the river features are retail development, whitewater rafting, boating, and other watercraft use, entertainment, festivals, public art. There are a lot of things that will make this attractive and will dramatically change the face and the character of the river and the river banks. Another thing that this enables us to do is recover some of the habitat and environmental studies and predictions are done around econometric models, and this was one that has been used I think by the Chamber for a number of years. It's used by the State of Oklahoma, and it is used at the University of Oklahoma in the group that does this sort of work. And it is designed to give a very conservative view of the impact that this will have for our community in the 7 years of the proposed tax. It will create initially construction jobs. It will evolve into permanent jobs as the businesses are built and are up and operating. It drives a significant amount of investment, and this is only the investment from the public investment, the bond issue that we will be asked to vote on, the private gifts, and then the economic development immediately adjacent to the river that is expected to be driven by those other investments, the publicly funded public style investment and the privately funded public style investment. There's actually empirical data that they've collected from the impact of the MAPS projects in Oklahoma City that suggests that this could be as much as $350 million higher. And if it is, then the jobs that are created are just that proportionally that much greater. And as they measure the total economic impact over this 7-year period for Tulsa County, it's $2.8 billion, which is not insignificant. That is a major impact. And if you think about it in the most straightforward of terms, it says for every dollar we as a citizen are prepared to invest, we're going to get a $10 return on that investment dollar. We think from a quality of life, it will help attract families. It's going to keep people here. It should, it will create high-paying jobs and ongoing quality jobs. It creates a revenue growth as these businesses take root and grow. In fact, during the period of the tax, it's estimated that the incremental tax collection just from the growth of these businesses, and that's netted against their potential impact on other businesses already in town, will begin approaching $100 million. And that tax that we agree to pay as taxpayers, if we vote yes for this, to build the facilities. And that's money that will be spread among the communities up and down the county and around the county to improve and provide the kinds of basic facilities that a no-growth economy or a low-growth economy simply will not allow us to do. They always throw in the slide that will give our kids and grandkids pride in our community. I think it does far more than that. I don't think that looks nearly far enough over the horizon. And I'm all for, I have 11 grandkids, so I'm all for giving grandkids the pride in the community. But this isn't a two-generation investment. This is something that 50, 60, 70, 80 years from now, people will look back and say the voters in Tulsa County really did a good thing. In 2008, on October 9th, when they voted yes and approved this set of projects, because these projects are still producing results for us. They have taken an asset that had been underutilized at best and have converted it into something that will provide generations of enjoyment and economic benefit to our community. And I think that is the sort of thing that also ends up being a legacy, and everyone would like to leave a legacy. Very few people have that opportunity in their life to do that. We have that opportunity. Again, to hit the bullet points, it puts water in the river, improves the quality of life. The top three things that the 60 public hearings said we wanted to accomplish. It builds on the generous gifts from private donors, outright gifts that are added to that to immediately begin enhancing it for our benefit, for our use and our enjoyment. And it leverages our greatest natural asset, finally, in 1961. And that study was a study talking about how do we turn this utilized resource, perhaps even eyesore, into something useful, and it was the River Lakes Project.